Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for September 30th. September 30th is the 273rd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 274th in leap years, with 92 days remaining to the end of the year. It's also the last day of the third quarter and the midway point of the second half of the year. Today's word is figurative. Figurative is an adjective that, in reference to language, means not literal, using figures of speech, metaphoric, rhetorical. Too many people exclaim something as literal when it is actually figurative. In reference to art, figurative means consisting of or forming human or animal figures, representational. With that, we're going to start with the birthday of the Persian mystic and poet Rumi, born September 30th, 1207. This is the birthday of William Wrigley, Jr., born September 30th, 1861. He founded the William Wrigley Jr. Company. I'm sure you've seen his products, Wrigley chewing gum. In 1916, he bought a stake in the Chicago Cubs baseball team with a group of other investors. One of the other stakeholders in this group came upon difficult times and found it necessary to sell some of his stock, and Wrigley bought them. Eventually, he sold all of his Cubs stock to Wrigley, making Wrigley the largest stockholder and principal owner of the ball club. And as you might know, Wrigley Field in Chicago is named after him. Mr. Wrigley lived to the age of 70. This is the birthday of German physicist Hans Geiger, born September 30th, 1882. If the name Geiger seems familiar to you, you may have heard of the Geiger counter, which detects radiation. He's also known for other radiation-related devices, laws, and discoveries. He lived to the age of 62. The final resting place of President William McKinley, the McKinley National Memorial, was dedicated in Canton, Ohio on September 30th, 1907. The 1947 World Series launched several firsts. The first to be televised, the first to include an African-American player, the first to exceed $2 million in receipts, the first to see a pinch-hit home run, and the first to have 6 umpires on the field. Ghost singers and session musicians often contribute unseen but vital components to entertainment, such as movies and music. Often these behind-the-scenes artists are anonymous, while the faces of the work get the acclaim and the glory. Sometimes, even if the face of the art can perform, session artists might be used for the production. There may be about as many reasons for this as there are instances of it. Marni Nixon, for example, served as a ghost singer for Deborah Kerr in The King and I, and for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, just to name a couple. With this in mind, German record producer Frank Farian liked to put together acts in this way, assembling vocal groups who would lip-sync songs sung by session members. He's been pretty successful with this model, selling over 850 million records, earning 800 gold and platinum certifications. In the 1980s, Frank discovered a couple of attractive young men, Robert Pilatus and Fabrice Morvan. These young men had recorded an album on their own that had sold a few thousand copies when they were discovered by Frank Farian. They signed on to do 10 songs a year for Frank, and the thing is, they could sing, but maybe they need a little more development, a little coaching, I'm not sure. Frank loved Rob and Fab, but he just wasn't blown away by their singing, and they already had a tour booked. So Frank said, "No prob, I've got some session singers who could pump out some sounds for us, and you two can lip sync." This would come back to bite them later, but for now the two went on tour as Milli Vanilli, and the crowds loved them. They were wildly popular, had 3 #1 hits on the Hot 100 in 1989. One of those was Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You, which achieved #1 status in September, and that's where we find it, #1 on September 30th, 1989. Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.